this is actually a really good segue to go from here to Allison's talk, because Allison knows a lot about posting on Twitter and uh, so why don't we sort of, let's jump for a second. I think let's segue to Allison. It doesn't have to be terribly long, just gonna sort of help us, Allison. I think we need your guidance.
I made a little presentation if that helps. You guys
Yes.
see it. Hold on. Is it best for me to share my screen or share the link with you, Denise?
Go ahead and share.
Share my screen?
Yeah.
If you could share the link also, that'd be useful too.
Yeah, of course. It has like some this makes me feel like you guys can tell I was just in school. So
Yes.
all right, you can see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So as you guys may or may not know, like I do work as a digital content producer. So Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff is a part of my like day to day. So this is just kind of like a high level view of, why journalists should be on X and Threads, and, the debate between both. So I pulled this from the NBCU Academy. It's from like 2 years ago, but still relevant, just about how much of a resource Twitter is for, freelancers, finding and pitching stories, like getting yourself known, finding sources. And then, how there's not so many social media alternatives. Like this article talked about Mastodon and how like pretty much it's not really embraced by the mainstream necessarily. This was before Threads existed as well. So that's a good alternative. And then just the loss of blue checks. As someone who's a younger journalist, it was like we aspired to those blue checks. We were like, how will anyone ever take us seriously without blue checks? And it's been a big debate in our newsroom about paying for them because a lot of our on-air anchors and reporters depended on those blue checks for credibility. So to have them gone has been interesting. And
Yeah, Allison, well, I don't understand what the blue check is.
Oh, okay. Maybe I could go even to my Twitter if I'm logged in, but basically like people see how my little profile down here at the bottom is, if I were a verified, there would be a little blue check next to my name. That's how it used to be, to show that you were like really a journalist. But
Okay.
the past year or so, they got rid of that and made it so you have to pay. So before you would submit your social media, your articles, like there would be a team who verified you. But basically it lost credibility when you had to pay for it, essentially. So
Okay.
now media outlets pay for it. Like we have a gold check mark, which we have to pay extra to get the gold level. It's very strange system.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see our little gold check, the NBC4 Washington. And like CBS News has it too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I
So
see it.
that's giving us the like we're an official quote unquote news outlet.
But
thing.
could anybody pay for the gold check even if they're not?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't think so, but anyone can pay for a check mark, a blue check mark nowadays.
Huh.
So a lot of like I said, a lot of people were disappointed about that. And yeah, as on the regular basis at work, like today we had that AT&T issue, and I retweeted our 911 call centers from Fairfax to Maryland, so I just think it's an invaluable resource to be able to like highlight those important issues for people, and the trending and all of that. So that's just some good stuff going on X, but also there's a lot of problems, as we all know, safety, security, things like that. And then Threads, this is what Threads looks like. It's the same post. It's the Fairfax County woman won a Grammy. There's a lot more about their story and her quote and sharing the link. I've seen people do videos. I've seen people do carousels. I've seen Q&As. It's just like almost like a hybrid between Reddit and Instagram. And I think it's exciting, Threads, what like the experimentation that can happen. You're on it, right, Dan?
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah.
I have like 3 posts, but again, I do social media all day, so my social medias have suffered. But
Yeah, I pretty much moved the international community over there from away from Twitter because we're actually getting better visibility.
oh, that's good. And did you feel like it's been a safer experience or?
Very much so.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the positive points to Threads, because apparently they offer end-to-end encryption and have better security. Which I don't know. Sometimes Instagram security can be questionable, so I will see how long that works for Threads since it's owned by Meta. But as it stands, it's supposed to be better than X.
Allison, when you say security, exactly what does that mean?
Yeah, so like in this article, it mentioned, like I said, end-to-end encryption. I'm not 100% what that means, but basically you know, well, let's see if you don't mind me specifically going to this. But also Twitter, it laid off a lot of its staff that was protecting journalists and handling those cases. That was like a big must move. So let's see, enhanced privacy. This is just let's see, ensuring secure communication and protecting valuable data from unauthorized access. So basically whatever Facebook is generally doing on Instagram and things like that, it's trying to implement there as well. I'm trying to think. But yeah, go back. Those are
I
just
just want to add that I got my first death threat on Twitter a couple of days ago. So
oh no.
it felt like a milestone. It wasn't a very specific death threat, but it was for something I wrote on COVID like 3 years ago. So this guy is living
Wow.
in a cave.
And did
A
you
little behind.
look to see if it was like a bot or a real person? Because sometimes
No.
I can tell these days.
You can tell, how do you figure that out, Allison?
Well, at least on Facebook, a lot of the time it's like a lot of political stuff that's nonsense, or it'll be like a lot of spam. Like it's very pretty obvious when it's not a real person. And I read all of the comments, so I see who's a real human, if that makes sense. Like I'm like, oh, this person reacted differently here. So you can get like a feel for who's spam and what's not. They'll put weird images and things like that. And they do it on Twitter all the time.
Huh.
So yeah. Any other questions? So
Well,
Oh.
yeah, I had a general question. This is really helpful. Thank you very much.
of course.
Would you say that anything else is considered, should be considered in addition to X and Threads? Like you mentioned Mastodon and some of these others. Are any of those reasonable? Should we waste our time with any of those?
I mean, I mean, it's hard to say. Our newsroom is on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I would say TikTok has been the most popular emerging platform outside of Threads. I don't know. I think if you're covering those fringe groups that are on those, I'm not saying Mastodon is necessarily fringe, but if you're covering the elections, you want to be where the people you're covering are, right? So but as like a main news outlet, I don't think we need to be. Yeah, go ahead.
And just a follow-up question, what does your organization actually get out of being on these various platforms?
Yeah, sometimes I think of it, and this is not very journalist, I think of it as like marketing for our stories sometimes, because even though we're a TV station, it's like what we put out there lasts much longer than what the broadcast side puts out there. So it's like they're the start of the funnel and we're like the end of the funnel. It's like we're going to put your story on our website that's going to last for years. It's going to go on YouTube. It's going to go on Twitter. We can cut it and share it with you. That will last infinitely, because sometimes, with broadcast rights, a lot of times those stories will eventually no longer be available on a website, but the article might. So yeah, I like to think of it that way. Yeah.
What do you think of Blue Sky?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, it's another alternative to Twitter. And over the past couple of weeks, it's gained a whole bunch of more people. Like I think they claim like, about 4 million.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And and it's easy to get on. It seems livelier than Mastodon, which is sort of like going to a funeral parlor, even if you're on Mastodon for journalists.
Yikes.
LinkedIn for journalists is kind of interesting, but I haven't completely figured that one out. But
Yeah.
I did get in. I mean, you have to prove that you're a journalist and submit clips, which is nice. So
I just posted the link for Blue Sky in the chat.
Thank
room.
you.
Yeah. I'll have to take a look. Yeah, I think for us, just, because I guess just because
Well,
we're
yeah.
breaking and we're local, I don't know. I don't think that we would have, it's hard to fit threads into our daily day-to-day routine because it's so much longer. You need people to proof what you're writing versus Twitter. It's only 250 characters. So you have a little more leeway.
It feels like with all of these things, it's like when you turned on your TV, you used to just have the network channels, right? And then you had cable, and then you used to be able to watch sports, right, on like ESPN or CBS. And now you've got to have one like conference is on Hulu and the other is on Peacock, and you've got to stream all these things. And it feels like this is the same, that it is such a time suck to be on all these different platforms.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think if you have the staff to be able to do it, then do it. But if like for the Alexandria Times, it may not make sense for you to be on all those platforms. Certainly not,
Yeah.
Like you got to go where your audience is gonna go and how many resources you have, because it looks sometimes bad to have a social account and not post if you're a news outlet, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we mainly do like Twitter and Facebook. And we get, just from like a few sites that we follow closely on Facebook, we get a lot of tips for stories and also people, like sources to talk to, about those stories. So I think that is a key thing that you mentioned earlier, is that these can really be great sources of someone that you want to talk with. Do you ever post, I'm doing a story about this? If there's anybody who's had this experience, reach out to me. Do you get sources that way?
Not so much me, but like our reporters definitely do. And I've seen them reach out to people in comments and ask for access. And even today, like our assignment desk asked there was a fireball meteorite in Maryland. There was a video of that on Twitter. We got like access to that today. So someone reached out. But I do see people, sometimes ask about their experience questions, or we even have a survey that we post on social media.
Huh.
You guys have a survey on your website, if I recall, or is that no
Yeah, just
longer?
a poll. Yeah, just like an unsigned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
mean,
think that's shared like on Twitter. or
yeah,
X.
see, so that kind of counts too.
Okay.
Well, everyone should get on Threads, I guess.
It sounds
I
like
mean,
it.
I use Threads a lot more than I use any of the other services, and it's just the algorithm seems better to find people that fit better with what you want to talk about. Not necessarily your same political views, but I could find serious journalists a whole lot easier on Threads than I can on Twitter.
Like you feel like the algorithm is more suited to you, like it like pulls up your community better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the recommendations it gives me for people to follow are like, yeah, absolutely, I want to follow that guy, or that organization or whatever.
Yeah, that's good to know. I do think it's a little harder to like find things that
Yes.
aren't out of your purview and like find people right
Yes.
now, but it's still new and they're like taking suggestions.
Yeah,
So.
that's a regular point of contention.
Well, this is really interesting, Allison. Thank you so much for putting this presentation together. And if any of us have follow-up questions, I hope you wouldn't mind if we if we ping you with an email or something.
No, and share all your these like blue sky. I'll have to check that out as well. So looking forward to that.
Great. Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much